Hello, today's video is going to be a little update on my health. So how I'm doing 3-month postpartum after giving birth to my little baby boy, Leonardo, and also update on him, how he's doing, how he's changing, and all of the exciting things. I've actually been feeling really good. I'm surprisingly stronger, more agile and leaner than I was before getting pregnant, which really surprises me. I didn't expect that. But when I exercise these days, I feel my muscles much more engaged. I feel them stronger. I don't even know how to explain it, but I'm aware of every single muscle flexing and relaxing. So I've been really enjoying my workout routine. Things are so much easier now. They literally got so much easier just maybe a week before hitting 3 months. And I remember around the stage of 10 to 11 weeks, I was so desperate. I literally reached rock bottom, and I knew that around 12 weeks things are supposed to get better, and I just didn't imagine that they would get better because we're so close to it, and things were worse than ever. Leonardo wasn't sleeping at all. He was super irritable. He had something that looked like silent reflux. He was just so miserable, and we were miserable and exhausted too. And then I figured out that everything was just due to him being really sleep deprived because he didn't know how to fall asleep. And once I addressed that, everything just fell into place. And now everything is so easy that I keep saying to Luca, I'm ready to have another one. I could easily have another 1 or 2. I'm still lacking sleep, which is quite normal with a 3-month-old baby, I suppose, but it's not as bad as before and it's totally doable. So he goes to bed around 8:39 p.m. and then I go to bed around 10:30, 11, and that's when I give him a little dream feed. And then I put him back in the cot and he sleeps until around 4 a.m. So he wakes up around once, maximum twice a night, which is not bad at all. And because I feed him in bed in a side-lying position, I feed him and then often I even fall asleep. I almost transition him to his own cot, although one of the sides of the cot is taken out. So we're kind of all in the same bed, but we all have our own spaces, which is brilliant. The more people there are in the bed, the worse everybody sleeps because every single movement wakes everybody else up. And I really felt that Leonardo wasn't sleeping as well as he could have. So we got the cot, we attached it to the side of our bed, and now everybody has their own space and everybody's happy. Although after the feed at 4 a.m., I usually just keep him in my bed because it's just easier for everyone. But in my plans, I want him to completely migrate to the cot and sleep all night long there. So far, he's really happy there. He sleeps all his naps there. Sirena, the oldest cat that we have, generally joins him over there as well. So it's so nice to see them sleeping together. He's definitely been accepted by the cats, by the way. Can't say that they love him yet, but they don't mind him. They don't mind sharing the bed with him, and they totally accept him now. Leonardo is still pooing with almost every single meal. Almost, not every, but almost. And he's still peeing a lot as well, which makes it very challenging to use cloth diapers or nappies. So we're still using the disposable ones, but we still want to move on to the cloth nappies. We're still doing the elimination communication, yeah, that's what it is. He pees and poos so well in the potty. We catch most of the poos now and we catch a lot of the pees. And it's so nice to see how happy he is when we manage to read his communication correctly. And we put him on the potty and he does what he needs to do and he just gives us the biggest smile. And we save a nappy, we save the environment, so it's good for everyone. And the cutest thing is that every single morning at 6:30, he wakes up and he starts asking to go to poo. So he never, ever, ever poos in the nappy in the morning because he waits until we bring him to the toilet. And as soon as we put him on the potty, within a split second, he poos. And then he's all happy. He's on quite a rigid schedule right now after I fixed his sleeping problems, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So he goes to bed at 8:30 to 9 every single day, and he wakes up between 6 and 6:30 every single morning as well. And these fixed timings for wake-ups and going to bed, they're so important. That they just make it so much easier for him to fall asleep. He knows when to be hungry, he knows when to get up, he knows when to go to sleep, and he's just so much calm and happier because babies really love routine and they really love knowing what comes next. Also during the day, we've been following the feed, eat, play, sleep routine throughout the whole day, but we have a kind of flowing routine where I watch him for signs of tiredness before he gets overtired, and then I put him down to sleep. So roughly he eats every 3 hours, he plays for another hour or so, and then he goes to sleep for an hour, sometimes a couple of hours, but generally always sleeps for at least 45 minutes. I never let him sleep for more than 3 hours though, because then he messes up all the rest of the naps of the day and the nighttime sleep as well. Ideally no more than 2 hours per nap. So when things were so bad a few weeks ago, when he just wouldn't sleep, I realized that I had everything wrong in my mind about babies. I always thought that babies were these intuitive creatures that knew how to do things and we just had to follow their leadership. But in reality, it's not like that at all. They don't know how to fall asleep by themselves at all. If you don't do anything about it, they will just keep crying and crying and crying hysterically until they fall asleep out of exhaustion, because they just don't know what to do with themselves and how to fall asleep when they're tired. I started doing gentle sleep training when he was still 2.5 months, more or less. I read the book by the baby whisperer, and she developed a kind of method called put down, pick up. And I did that for a few weeks and it worked really well. So at the beginning it took a long time. The longest it ever took me to make him sleep was 1.5 hours. But now he's great. He falls asleep in max 10-15 minutes and usually doesn't cry at all. If he's really overtired, he might cry for a few minutes, but he falls asleep by himself without any kind of sleep associations or sleep props. I don't have to feed him. I don't have to have my hands on him to pat him or touch him or anything like that. He falls asleep by himself, and I think it's such an important skill to have for the rest of the childhood and also for the rest of the life. I still stay next to him until he falls asleep, but I plan to slowly get further and further and further away until I can leave the room and he can comfortably fall asleep by himself. When he was doing so badly a few weeks ago, I thought that he had silent reflux because he had all the symptoms of it. And he had, but it wasn't really a medical issue. So I took him to a baby chiropractor who specializes in the skull, deformities of the skull, because due to having a very difficult birth, because he was in the brow presentation, I knew that something could have been wrong with the position of the skull. Also, his skull was really, really oval instead of round. And the pediatrician mentioned that too. So I brought him to the chiropractor, hoping that fixing the shape of the skull would also help the acid reflux. And that's what the chiropractor thought too. But the skull was all fixed and his acid reflux was still there. In the end, I figured out that he was just not sleeping enough. He was super overtired, and that's why he was so irritable and crying all the time. Now, me as an experienced first-time mom, I wasn't sure what his crying meant. So I thought he only cried when he was hungry. And I think that so many moms make this mistake. They think that if the baby's crying, he must be hungry. So they give them the boob. But it's not always the case. In fact, now that I know better, I realize that most of the times he cried or cries is because he's tired and he needs to sleep. So because he was crying, I thought he was hungry. I kept giving him the boob, and in the end he was overeating, and then that was causing all the acid reflux symptoms. So as soon as I fixed the sleeping issue, he stopped eating so frequently. We moved on to a proper schedule of between 3 and 4 hours. And all the symptoms vanished literally within a day or so, and he hasn't had any issues since then. He's a perfectly healthy kid now, and he's super happy, super calm, super smiley, so we're all super happy, and it was all because of lack of sleep. So really the most important takeaway I wanted to take away from this video is that babies really don't know how to sleep, and they need to be taught how to sleep. I'm still using a baby wrap probably 95% of the time, if not more. I did buy a stroller, an umbrella stroller, but I still don't like it. Leonardo doesn't seem to like it either. It's convenient sometimes when we go to the city, like when we go to the chiropractor or something like that. But in general, if we go for walks or if we go shopping in the farmer's market or supermarkets, nothing is more convenient than a wrap. He loves it. He loves looking around while sitting in it. He sleeps in it so well. He's still only around close to 7 kilos, around 15 pounds. And the wrap is so brilliant that I hardly even feel that weight. I don't get tired. So as long as I can carry him, I will. And the wrap I use and love so much is the Solly Baby wrap. It's perfect for hot weather. To give you an update on my body, recovering after giving birth, I have almost gone back down to my starting weight. I'm still 1.4 kilos over my starting weight, which is probably at this point just all the extra milk that I'm carrying. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm not trying to lose weight or anything like that. I got back down to my previous, original size. I can get into all my clothes, actually better than before, because I feel like my waist shrank because of all the organs and bones and everything shifted around during pregnancy and labor. So my waist became smaller than before and my hips are still wider. Because Leonardo was in the brow presentation, my hips had to open wider than usual, and I feel that they're still wider. There's still trousers, non-stretchy trousers that I can't get into, and I don't know, they might shrink back, they might remain bigger, and I actually like them being a little bit wider. So if they stay like this, I will be quite happy. I still breastfeed exclusively every single day and still no period. I really hope it continues like this. I hope I'm going to be one of those lucky women who doesn't get her period back for at least a year. That would be amazing. I'm loving this break from it. They say that around 3 months is when your breast milk production kind of normalizes and all the leaking stops and overproduction stops, but that's not the case for me. Even though Leonardo eats very regularly now, every 3-4 hours, I still produce a little bit too much milk. It still leaks a little bit too much. It doesn't leak in between feeds now, thank God. But while I'm feeding him on one side, the other side still always leaks. So I really hope that one day it will stop. And my letdown is still quite fast. So he has to really concentrate when he eats, which he doesn't mind because now he's big enough for that. But he gets full in 10-15 minutes. Which is really fast, and he's definitely not relaxed while he's eating. He's literally gulping the milk, but it is how it is. I really hope that it will slow down and calm down as the time goes. After giving birth, just like during pregnancy, I still kept having some pelvic pain in my pubic bone and some SPD. I always had suspicions that I had a little bit of SPD going on while I was pregnant because it was painful for me to turn in the bed. It was painful to do certain movements, so I felt pain exactly in my pubic bone. But ever since giving birth, it didn't really go away fully. It got much better, but it was still there. So I decided to go to a chiropractor as well. So Leonardo started the trend, then I went as well, and honestly, it's the best thing I ever did. So he told me that my pelvis was twisted. It was probably because of a really bad fall on the stairs I had when I was 12. And then obviously giving birth didn't help. It made it even worse. Basically, my pelvis was kind of tilted to one side, and then my spine kind of went to the other side, and then my neck and head were again on the other side. So my whole spine was basically kind of like this, which made it really difficult for my body to keep me standing, to keep me straight. All my muscles had to work much more than they generally would have to, and it made pregnancy and birth more difficult than it should have been. So I'm very glad that now, after 3 visits, it's completely fixed, and hopefully the next birth is going to be much easier. But the chiropractor also told me that as long as you breastfeed, you still have the relaxing hormone. It's the hormone that is produced during pregnancy to make all the joints and bones more flexible, to allow your pelvis to open up, to let the baby out. And that keeps being produced as long as you breastfeed. So you have to be really careful because you're more vulnerable while you breastfeed. So there are certain movements that I have to be careful with, not to sit with my legs crossed, not to do certain movements like dragon squats where you kind of cross the legs and squat. So just have to be a little bit more careful. After I got my spine aligned, I went to a sports therapist as well for a deep tissue massage to get rid of all my muscle knots, because after giving birth and while breastfeeding, you also get quite stiff because breastfeeding is quite an unnatural, uncomfortable position, and giving birth as well is quite a big stress on the body, so it's quite easy to get a lot of tension in the body. And this massage has been amazing. I had one, I'm going to have another one in a couple of weeks, and I already feel like new. All the tension around my shoulders, in my back is gone, and honestly, I feel brand new, and I probably feel better than ever. Now, in terms of my thyroid health, I haven't checked my levels at all, because ever since my Hashimoto's went into remission, I haven't really felt the need, because I feel good. And I don't really want to think about it too much or obsessed about it too much. And that's probably the reason why I don't make a lot of health related videos anymore, just because I feel like I don't want to be obsessed about that topic. My half moons are getting bigger and bigger still, and I feel great. So I don't know for sure, but I think it's doing great. I'm going to Lithuania in a month or so, and I'm probably going to check my levels just out of curiosity. So I'll keep you updated. I still keep taking my kelp powder every single day, because while breastfeeding you need double the amount of iodine compared to when not pregnant. So when not pregnant or breastfeeding. I've also been using something called tissue salts. I got this thing a long time ago, and then I tried it for a few days, and then I just dropped it because I don't even know why. And now I rediscovered these things, and they're amazing. They've been really helping me with my energy and with, recovery and being strong and happy while breastfeeding a little baby. And tissue salts is something from homeopathy, although if you ask homeopath, they would probably say that it's not homeopathy. It's a bit of a controversial topic, because the guy who invented them was actually a homeopath, but the principle of working is quite different from homeopathy. Anyway, long story. I'm sure I'll make another video about them in the future, but it's called bioplasma. It's got 12 tissue salts inside, all the 12 tissue salts that exist. And they're all the different minerals and salts that are so important for the correct functioning of the human body. They are in tiny, 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 tiny amounts, so it's impossible to overdose or have any kind of side effects. And they go straight into the cells. Now that I'm taking them consistently, I've had incredible results. And I've been trying to collect the whole collection of all the 12 tissue salts on their own as well, because they have incredible uses for all kinds of ailments. So I'm trying to collect all of them, and I have already half of them maybe. But if you're curious, look up Bioplasma by Highlands. It's an amazing remedy for anything. My skin has been so good on it, and I really feel my mood lift and my energy improve when I take it consistently. And the kelp I take is still the Now Foods kelp pure powder. Is the best. Now, hair loss finally started when I was 2.5, almost 3 months postpartum. I was hoping it would never start, but it's something you can't really escape from, because so much hair remains there because of the high progesterone during pregnancy, and it has to fall out sooner or later. It has to go somewhere. So it started, it was really bad, it was really scary. I was taking out a huge clump of hair from my bath every time after washing my hair, and my hair was everywhere. It was in Leonardo's fist, it was all over the floor, it was everywhere. But luckily it lasted for 2 weeks, and now it seems to be almost stopped, thank God. So it's all good. I just kept doing my regular hair care routine. I kept doing sesame seed oil mask every week, and that helped a lot because my scalp was quite sensitive as well, but now it seems to be doing much, much better. So hopefully it's not going to come back again. I still have much more hair than I did before getting pregnant, so I like that. And it's also grown so much. I haven't had my hair trimmed for 6 months, and I definitely need a trim. So hopefully next week or so I can get it done as well. Now, in terms of moods, they have been quite good. When I was really low, around week 11 or 12, when Leonardo was not sleeping and we were all exhausted, at one point I thought I had postnatal depression, and my husband was Googling the symptoms. He thought the same. So I was quite worried about it. But to be fair, if I sleep enough, if I rest enough, I feel totally fine. It was definitely difficult to get used to all these abrupt changes in my life, to understand that my life will never be the same. Even though my baby was really loved and waited for, still all these changes still took me by surprise. No matter how much you read, no matter how much you prepare yourself, it's still so much more than you ever expected, and it's still so much harder to change your life so much. So I did struggle, just like everyone else, and I still struggle sometimes, thinking that my life will never be the same. I'll never have the same freedom again. Like, for example, I'll never be able to just grab my husband and go to a dance class because, you know, we don't have any family close by. We don't have any friends to leave him with. So we're totally stuck with him. And it's a good thing and a bad thing. I love being a mommy. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love my son so much. And that's all that matters. One stressful thing that happened is that YouTube has literally been trying to kill my channel for the last few months. Even before I went on my maternity leave, it has been slowly reducing my views. So I have just around 20% of my normal views left. And that is really upsetting because I had been working on my channel for years and years and years. It was like my baby for such a long time. I worked so hard on it. And YouTube just decided to almost destroy it. And, you know, being on maternity leave and not knowing whether you have anything to come back to, whether it's going to be completely killed off or partly killed off, it created so much unnecessary stress. So I couldn't completely relax and enjoy my baby because I had to worry about the future, about the money, about my work. And that was definitely quite a dark side of my maternity leave, but it is how it is. Things seem to have stabilized now, so hopefully now that I come back to making regular videos, things will start getting better. So if you don't see notifications about my videos, if you don't see them in your subscription box, keep an eye on my channel. I am going to try to be more regular now, and I would really appreciate your support. Also, if you comment and like my videos, that really helps so much. So I really hope that we can revive my channel back to how it was or better. Luke was woken up after a long nap of almost 3 hours. I was about to go and wake him up because it was becoming a bit too long, but he did it by himself. Now he's just fed and he's super happy and smiley. So I thought we would finish the video together. He's changing so much every day now. I think he's going through his 4th leap right now, a little bit early. And he learned how to grasp things a week ago, which makes everything so much more fun now. He grasps all of his toys. He is touching the texture and enjoying them, shaking the rattles. He can also see as well as adults now, so he can see everything around so much. When he's out and about in the wrap, he hardly ever sleeps now, just looking around, and you can see how everything is just fascinating for him. All the patterns on the walls, all the contrasts, any kind of shadows, anything is just fascinating for him. He also smiles at people, which makes me very happy, which means that when we go to see my sister and my mom, he will not be scared of them. We went to visit a friend last weekend and he gave her the biggest smile, even though it was the first time he saw her. So he seems to be a very social kid. He's very chilled, very happy, doesn't cry much unless we've allowed him to become overtired and overstimulated. He's just a pleasure to be around. He moves so much, exercises so much all day long, and he's so good at lifting his head and chest up on his forearms. And he keeps trying to crawl, but obviously it's too early for that. So he just keeps trying and trying and trying, and his legs are definitely ready for that. But because his head is still so heavy, the arms are just not strong enough, but it's still very interesting to watch. He also keeps trying to turn from his belly to the back and from the back to the belly. He goes halfway and then gets stuck. He can't do it anymore, but I'm sure in the next week or two he'll be able to turn. His eyes are actually turning green, and that's incredible because I'm the only one with green eyes in the whole family. Everybody on Luca's side has brown eyes, everyone on my side has blue eyes, but his eyes are turning green, and that makes me so happy. And his hair was black when he was born. Now it's kind of chestnut brown on the lighter side, and possibly it's becoming kind of golden blonde. I don't know, we'll see, but that's very interesting. And he's definitely got curly hair just like his mom and dad. All the curls are standing up at the top of his head, and it's just so cute. We are going to go and have a little play session before he needs to go down for a nap again. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.